Today I want to talk a little bit about chickens and the different variety of chickens. Which ones are the better layers and which ones lay a little earlier than some. Some start laying at 20 to 22 weeks old, and some start laying at 16 weeks old. And it all depends on the different variety. There are hundreds of different chickens. A lot of them you don't see in the hatchery books because they just can't put them all in there. So they put in the most popular chickens. Now what you're looking at here are Kuchins. They're very docile. They're a little bit bigger than like your Wyandotte, and that is a Wyandotte there. It's a Colombian Wyandotte. And you have the Buff Orpington, which I have, and she's not anywhere around. And you have the Americanas. You have Leghorns. You have the Rhode Island Reds, New Hampshire Reds. You have the Wyandottes, which I mentioned. And the Leghorns are used mainly for egg factories because they lay the most eggs. They have been known to lay 350 eggs in a year. Now that doesn't mean they do it all the time, but they have been known to do that. That's more than an egg a day. And that's about an egg a day. There's 365 days in a year, so that's about an egg a day, 350. So there's just a short time there that they won't be laying. So a lot of your egg factories, they take the white Leghorn. There's also, I believe, a red Leghorn that they have, and there's some other hybrid Leghorns that they have. Your Buff Orpington lays about 250 to 300 eggs a year. Your Wyandottes lay about that much per year. The Kuchins lay approximately 250 to 290 eggs a year. They do go broody pretty often, so that kind of works on their little bit of their egg production. And they're very good mothers. Also, your Wyandottes will go broody as well. So squirrels are having fun. There's days there that you're going to lose. You're going to lose, well, there's 21 days of them sitting on the eggs, and then there's probably another 2 months before they start deserting the chicks. Where the chicks are big enough to take care of themselves and they don't need mom to keep them warm anymore. The Leghorns, I'm not too sure if how often they go broody because I've never had them. They're more of an aggressive chicken. So with children, you're going to want to kind of keep with the more docile, and that would be your Kuchins and your Buff Orpingtons. They call the Buff Orpingtons the lap chickens. They are very friendly. And the Kuchins are pretty docile as well. I've gone in to take eggs out from underneath them when they've been sitting, and they don't peck me. I've had the Colombian Wyandottes. I've had them peck me when I go in to get them off the nest because I don't want them to be broody. I want them to lay. I hatch my own eggs, so I don't need them really hatching any. And it's kind of hard because the steps that I have for them to get the chicks would get out, but they wouldn't be able to get back in, not until they got older. And so that would mean that they would be out here in all forms of weather because they wouldn't be able to get back into the chicken pen. I put it up high to keep rodents and stuff out, but we have a huge amount of squirrels. I haven't caught them in the chicken house, but I do have them everywhere in all the feeders. I've been feeding the chickens a little less so that I can feed them like at night before they go to bed, so the squirrels aren't here eating. Evidently I fed way more than what I should have today, so that means I'll cut my feed back even more. So if you're looking at raising chickens, I would, look into all the different ones. Murray McMurray will send you a catalog. Also, Crackle, I believe it's called. They will send you a catalog. Most hatcheries will send you catalogs for you to see what they have and to pick over what you want. There are lots of videos on egg chickens, so you can go into those and find out which ones other people have. And everybody likes a different chicken. I'm sure that when you visited your grandparents that they probably had chickens, especially if they lived on a farm. If you live in town, you have to check your ordinances and find out if you can have chickens, and it's usually only 6 and no rooster. So you would be about every 5 years you might want to redo your batch because they'll start slowing down in laying. I like to hatch out chicks constantly because if I have a hen that's not laying as well as I think she should, she goes into a stew. Also, chickens are good to have. That way you have a steady supply of eggs and you have a supply of meat. You can also, there's a lot of farms and ranches that have chickens and they sell a lot of their overstock. Like if a hen hatches out a bunch of chicks, they'll probably sell a bunch of those. They'll probably keep some and sell some so that that they have new layers all the time. Your hens start slowing down in laying when they become around 3 years old. So at 5, they'll probably, excuse me, probably still be laying, but not as often. They'll start getting down, instead of an egg a day, they'll start getting down to an egg every couple of days. Now, it all depends on how many eggs you need. And like I said, if you live in town, you can only have 6 chickens, 6 hens, and no roosters, because the roosters crow and people don't like the noise. Although they listen to cars drive by and gun shooting and they hear sirens and different noises, but a rooster is something that they don't like to listen to. But the different chickens, like I said, they all start laying at a different age. Now these here are Brahmas. A couple of these are Brahmas and a couple of them are the Colombian Wyandottes. So the Brahmas didn't start laying until they were about 7 months old. And this year it makes them a year old. Now I hatched out a bunch of chicks and I kept some and I sold a bunch. I kept mainly the roosters and sold the others because I have a rooster and I have to get a new rooster before I can put any chicks in. I like to keep about 3 different roosters of the same breed. That way I don't have interbreeding going on. And a lot of farms, they don't care which chicken they have or which rooster they have, and so a lot of them are crossbred, which is fine. They still all lay eggs and they're all edible, the eggs. And they all, they start laying at different ages. They have the black Astrolots. They have the Orpington, the Coochins, the Rhode Island Reds, New Hampshire Reds, the Barred Rocks, which is a good hen, good chicken, and they are good mothers too. They're not real docile, but they're not real aggressive. These chickens that I have here are not aggressive. They will run from me. I mean, and the roosters too. They will not try and peck me. If you do get a rooster, that you don't like, you can always give him away or put him in a stew pot. So I'm not going to tell you which chicken to buy. That's going to be up to you. And you need to do a lot of checking in to see which chicken is going to be best for you. And like I said, if you have small children, your Coochins and your Buff Orpingtons would be a better pick. But I'm sure you, like I said, you had grandparents that had chickens and you probably fell in love with their chickens, whatever breed they had. And sometimes that's what we want, is what our grandparents had. I lived on a ranch, an alfalfa ranch, and I had to go get eggs every morning for breakfast. And we had a Leghorn rooster and we had a Rhode Island red rooster. And the white Leghorn rooster would attack me when I would go in to get the eggs. And the Rhode Island red would go in, he would come in, even though he was much smaller than the Leghorn, and he would start a fight with the Leghorn to keep the Leghorn away from me while I collected eggs. And he got himself beat up pretty bad, but I appreciated him so much. I did fall in love with him. And so the people that we were with, her granddaughter came, and I believe her granddaughter was like 2, I think, a year and a half, 2, and she was walking. And we always turned the chickens out during the afternoon so that they could get the bugs and clean up anything that was in the garden that we didn't need. And when she got out of that car, that Leghorn jumped her and spurred her from the top of her forehead down to her chin. And the lady that we were living with, she picked that chicken up, and that was the last time that chicken did anything to anybody. And I'm quite sure that Rhode Island red rooster was probably jumping around saying hooray and being very happy. So he had all the hens to himself. And I believe I think she had 12 or 14 hens, if I remember when I counted them one time. And they were a mixture of white Leghorn and a mixture of Rhode Island reds. And I think there was a couple black ones in there as well. That was many, many years ago. I'm 80 years old right now. Well, I'm almost 80. I'll be 80 in February. And that's when I was about 12 years old. So that was a long time ago. So, yeah, I can't remember for positive. There was some black ones, but I think there was. And there was white ones and there was red ones. Anyway, I hope this helped a little bit on, what eggs. A lot of the chickens will lay, over 200 eggs in a year. Some will lay over 300 in a year. And it will tell you how many eggs they were, if they're a good egg layer or not. It will tell you if they're white eggs or brown eggs. And you also have your Americanas that lay the blue egg. And they lay blue, green, pink, and kind of a tan color. Kind of a not quite brown and not quite white. Not like a Rhode Island red would lay. It's a little, almost a tannish color, kind of yellow tannish color. So, yeah. Anyway, look up, find out which one you really want. Chickens are pretty easy to take care of. If you have a run, like I have here, I do like them out running around. I have some that fly out of this pen and they run around. These guys will go out a little later this afternoon once they have laid all their eggs. And so really what I've been feeding them is probably way more than what they should be getting, because the squirrels do come in and eat. And I do need to get rid of the squirrels. So please subscribe, please push the notification bell, make a comment, and push the like or not like button. And we'll catch you on the flip side.